Have you ever met someone who constantly praised you, smiled sweetly, and spoke flowery words that made you feel like the center of the universe? But then, after just one small incident, you found out they were the one behind it all. The one who secretly undermined you, gossiped behind your back, and betrayed you without hesitation. The ancients had a saying, "Mouth speaks Buddha's name, but the heart holds a dagger." It describes those who appear kind and courteous on the outside, but inside are filled with cunning and malice. In today's world, sweet words are no longer a reliable measure of kindness. In fact, many use gentle speech as a perfect disguise to cover their true intentions, their deceit, and even the harm they may bring to others. What's most dangerous is that these sweet talkers often make us lower our guard. After all, who doesn't like to hear beautiful words? Who isn't easily swayed by kindness in speech? But the human heart, it's not something we can read so easily. We live in a world where honest words can offend, yet false flattery easily earns trust. So how can we recognize the kind of people who speak honey but harbor venom? How can we protect ourselves from relationships that bring only pain and consequences? And how can we avoid becoming victims of these deceitful sweet talkers simply because we trusted too easily? In today's video, Ancient Philosophy will explore in depth 4 types of people who speak sweetly but hide sinister intentions, based on ancient wisdom, so that we may learn to choose wisely who we place our trust in and keep ourselves safe from those who bring chaos into our lives. Welcome to Ancient Philosophy, where we reflect on and uncover timeless teachings from ancient thought. From age-old moral insights to mindful living in the modern world, this channel is here to walk with you on your journey to peace, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of human nature. If you find value in what we share, don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming content. 1. Those who excessively flatter. Praise without sincerity. Hide a knife behind the smile. Have you ever met someone who constantly praises everything you do? Even if you say something simple, they nod and say, "That's so wise." You wear a plain shirt and they gasp, "You look elegant in anything you wear." At first, those compliments may feel pleasant, but if you observe closely, you'll realize their praise lacks weight because it's excessive, repetitive, and often unreasonable. As the ancients used to say, he who flatters too much is not to be trusted. Because praise, if not born from sincerity, is nothing more than a sugar-coated poison. The more you consume, the more diluted you become, losing clarity, falling into manipulation. Easy signs to recognize flatterers don't praise to encourage you. They praise to soften your guard. They often use exaggerated phrases like, "You're the most talented person I've ever met." "You're the most amazing person in my life. No one else could ever do what you've done." These compliments are repeated over and over, lack context, and have no depth. They sound sweet, but are empty, like a sugar shell hiding a burning chili inside. These people usually show up when they want something from you: support, trust, or personal gain. And once they've gotten what they wanted, they'll turn their backs, sometimes even denying every nice word they ever said. Illustrative story. In Romance of the Three Kingdoms, there's a character named Yang Shu, a man known for his wit and smooth tongue, often flattering Cao Cao. At first, Cao Cao valued him, but later, he sensed that Yang Shu's praise lacked authenticity and might conceal ulterior motives. Indeed, Yang Shu grew arrogant and often implied that he could read Cao Cao's thoughts, something that made a suspicious man like Cao Cao feel threatened. In the end, Yang Shu was executed. This shows insincere praise does not help you go far. It may even bring disaster if offered to someone sharp enough to see through the facade. Ancient wisdom. In the Book of Rites, Lei Qi, it is written, "A noble person values sincerity over speech and virtue over words. A kind soul doesn't need flowery words. Their actions speak louder than anything they say." On the other hand, a flatterer hides their cunning behind polished phrases. Someone who truly cares won't praise you all the time. They'll offer feedback, point out your blind spots, and sometimes say things you don't want to hear. But they are the ones worth trusting. The lesson? In life, everyone likes to be praised. But the wise know how to distinguish between sincere compliments and hollow flattery. Stay alert when someone praises you without reason, without limit, and with irrational sweetness. Don't let vanity cloud your judgment. Don't let a compliment lead you into the wrong decision. And never forget, a sweet mouth with a dagger in hand is the most dangerous kind. To conclude, the wise do not get drunk on praise. Be wary of those who speak beautifully but are empty inside, because behind a smile may lie a scheme, and behind the praise, a sharp knife waiting for your back. Those who always speak gently but are vague and hide their true intentions. There are people who, in any situation, speak as softly as a breeze. Every word is calm and gentle, never raised in anger. At first glance, they seem like polite, agreeable individuals. But if you listen carefully, you'll realize they talk a lot but say very little. They open their mouths, yet hide everything true inside. Clear signs. These people rarely speak their minds directly. When asked for their opinion, they often respond with, it's okay, but it depends on the perspective, really. I'm not so sure, but if it were me, maybe I'd. Such responses may sound polite at first, but they often leave the listener confused. You're seeking advice, they plant more doubt. You want to know their thoughts, they avoid with excessive gentleness. Such people aren't modest, they're afraid of responsibility. They avoid being direct because bluntness might offend. Honesty might invite judgment, so they choose vague words to dodge consequences. Ancient wisdom says, straight like a horse's gut, you'll win friends. Twisted and crooked, trouble follows. Old proverb. The more evasive a person's words, the harder they are to read, and the more dangerous they become. Someone who doesn't speak truthfully leaves you constantly guessing their hidden meaning. And in that cloud of doubt, all relationships distort. The ancients valued straightforwardness, not because they lacked subtlety, but because sincerity is the foundation of trust. You may not always agree with someone's honest words, but you'll respect them. In contrast, someone who hides meaning in polished phrases is like the wind that suddenly changes direction. You never know when they'll turn on you. A real-life story. Miss Huang, a team leader at a company, once shared, there was an employee named Tuan, always gentle and agreeable. Whatever you asked of him, he nodded. Whatever you said, he responded with something like, I think it's okay, but it's really up to you. I don't have an opinion. Everyone thought Tuan was easygoing. But when the team faced trouble, he was the first to back out, refusing responsibility, even sowing doubt among others, because everyone had assumed Tuan had agreed without ever giving a clear answer. From then on, Miss Huang learned an important lesson. Overly gentle people aren't always kind. They're sometimes clever in a self-serving way, staying safe by letting others bear the consequences. The psychology behind soft words. Many think gentle speech equals tact. But if tact lacks honesty, it's just manipulation. When someone speaks without fully expressing themselves, it often stems from fear of offending, losing benefits, or being held accountable. Worse still, they may deliberately let you misunderstand them, so they can steer the situation without taking any responsibility. They plant ambiguity in your heart, leaving you to decode every word, every glance, every harmless nod. That's not wisdom, it's concealed dishonesty. The lesson: don't be fooled by soothing tones. Gentle words do not always come from genuine hearts. Elegant speech isn't always kind-hearted. Listen with a discerning mind and ask yourself, who dares to give you honest feedback, even if it risks upsetting you? And who just nods along while never truly standing with you? A trustworthy person doesn't need to be sweet. A sincere person isn't afraid to speak the truth, even if it stings. And someone truly kind will always take responsibility for their words. 3. Those who always play the victim, gaining sympathy to take advantage. There's a type of person who's especially skilled at stirring compassion by constantly playing the victim. They don't yell, don't blame anyone loudly. In fact, they often speak softly, melancholically, as if the whole world has turned its back on them. At first, you feel sorry for them. The second time, you think, well, maybe I should help a little. But by the third or fourth time, you start to realize you're carrying burdens for them that were never your responsibility. Common signs. They often show up with a sorrowful face, a quiet, pitiful tone. I've had a hard life since I was little. No one's ever truly helped me. I want to try, but fate just keeps working against me. You're the only one who understands me. Please don't leave me. These words sound genuine, heartfelt, hitting right at your sense of compassion. You feel like if you don't help, it's as if you're abandoning someone who's drowning in suffering. But what you may not realize is this: they're not venting to relieve pain, they're using it to create emotional pressure. Help them once, and they'll find reasons to ask again. Refuse to help, and they'll act hurt or disappointed, making you feel guilty. At its core, it's emotional manipulation. People who constantly complain about their fate may not intend to harm you, but they possess a dangerous skill, turning their suffering into a tool to control others. In psychology, this is called victim manipulation, using the image of a suffering person to emotionally influence others. They don't demand with harsh words, but with weakness, helplessness, and pity. And in the end, you, the strong and generous one, become the one being quietly used. Ancient wisdom says, "Those who cry in front of you often laugh behind your back." Old proverb. This isn't meant to mock the genuinely weak. It's a warning about dangerous pretenders. Some people always appear miserable in front of you, but when you're gone, they smile at others, live carefree, and go on to tell their sob stories to the next rescuer. The ancients understood those truly in pain endure in silence. Those who cry to everyone often have hidden motives. A real-life story Mr. Min, a longtime charity worker, once shared. "I helped some people for 2 whole years, thinking they were truly struggling. But one day, I realized they could work, could take care of themselves. They just chose not to, because they got used to being helped." That's when I started to reassess who needed help and who just wanted it. What changed Mr. Min wasn't that he ran out of kindness, but that he realized, without awareness, your kindness can be exploited. The takeaway: helping others is noble, but not everyone who cries deserves your help. Some tears are nothing more than tools to soften your heart. Kindness without boundaries becomes an open door for others to drain your energy, time, and spirit. A wise person knows how to tell the difference between someone who truly needs support and someone who just wants a shoulder to lean on forever. Those who need help will be grateful. Those who want to cling will keep playing the victim to make you stay. And once you can no longer give, they'll leave as if your kindness never existed. So stay alert. No matter how sweet their words, how sad their stories, or how convincing their tears, before you reach out, ask yourself, am I helping them rise up, or am I letting them pull me down? 4. Those who speak of morality excessively, but act in contradiction. There is a type of person who speaks with eloquence about moral values, quoting noble phrases as if they were sacred scriptures. They often present themselves as life gurus, constantly preaching to others about how to live rightly and behave ethically. At first, you might admire them. You think, someone who understands so much about morality must surely live with integrity. But after a while, you begin to notice a disconnect. Their words don't match their actions. They tell others to be humble, yet they scramble for every bit of advantage. They post online about forgiveness, but in life, they calculate every gain. They teach the art of inner peace, yet they are always at the center of drama, conflict, and pretense. Clear signs, but not easily noticed at first, O'Gill. These individuals are often skilled with words. They love to say things like, open quote, live with contentment, patience, and the ability to let go. A mature person is one who doesn't let emotions cloud reason. Don't be selfish. Live for the community. Live with love. Close quote. These sound right, even admirable. But the problem is, they're only good at talking, not living that truth. The ancients called this a Buddha's mouth with a snake's heart. Sweet words on the outside, but filled with hidden agendas within. It's not that they don't know what's right. It's that they use morality like a cloak to conceal what's inside. The ancients taught, open quote, the noble man teaches through virtue. The petty man hides behind words. Close quote. This wisdom sheds light on the truth. The noble person lives with integrity first and lets their life be the example. The petty person uses elegant words as a shield so others won't see their true nature. The danger here isn't that these people are openly malicious, but that they deceive. They make you believe that those who preach morality must also practice it, that those who speak beautifully must also live righteously. Why do they love preaching morality? There are 3 common reasons. 1, to impress others. Speaking of virtue makes them appear deep, mature, and trustworthy. 2, to hide their true self. If they don't live honestly, the easiest way to avoid suspicion is to say a lot of right things. 3. To gain power in relationships. Once you're drawn into their noble words, you're less likely to resist, more likely to agree, and eventually easier to manipulate. Someone who preaches virtue without living it is like a person holding a torch to guide others, while they themselves are lost in darkness. A real-life story Miss Ha, a life skills teacher, once shared about a colleague who was a gifted speaker. Every class, that person would inspire students, talk about compassion, encourage kindness, and helping the vulnerable. Yet in staff meetings, that same person would gossip, belittle peers, steal credit, and shift blame. Miss Ha said, open quote, "The more I interacted with them, the more I saw the gap between who they were on stage and who they were behind the scenes." Close quote. That realization taught her, open quote, "The trustworthy person is not the one who speaks well, but the one who lives rightly, even without preaching." Close quote. The takeaway lesson. In life, we're not short of people who talk about morality. What we lack are those who truly live it. True virtue doesn't need to be spoken endlessly. And if someone talks too much about it yet doesn't live by it, it's just a coat of paint over a crumbling wall. A wise person is not easily swayed by eloquent words, but sees through, from speech to action, from preaching to daily life. Because, open quote, "A voice can lie, a glance can pretend, but actions, they don't know how to lie." Close quote. Remember, the fake often use morality to win favor from the crowd, but the sincere, they quietly do what's right without needing to say a word. Conclusion, sow wisdom, stay safe. In today's world, there are many who know how to speak sweetly, but few who are truly sincere. Words are, by nature, one of the easiest tools to deceive. A gentle sentence, a friendly smile, can sometimes hide a deeply hidden agenda. The ancients once said, open quote, "To judge words, look at the face. To judge the face, observe the heart. To understand the heart, watch the actions." Close quote. Because words can be polished, faces can be disguised. Only actions over time can truly expose a person's inner self. In this vast society, if we lack the wisdom to distinguish between the genuine and the fake, we are easily trapped by the sweetness of a malicious heart. For to associate with those who harbor evil, no matter how sweet their words, is like embracing a snake to your chest. They may make you feel warm at first, but they'll bite you when your guard is down. And some wounds, they never fully heal. Therefore, if you wish for a peaceful life, be mindful of whom you trust and whom you let close. Don't open your heart just because someone speaks nicely. Don't mistake outer politeness for inner virtue. Be awake in every conversation, because your intuition, once trained, is the compass that can guide you safely. And more importantly, remind yourself to be someone sincere. Speak less, but let your actions speak louder. Be kind, but not so lenient that you are taken advantage of. Care for others, but also know how to care for yourself. Because when you live with sincerity, you naturally attract those who are also genuine. When you keep your wisdom, you will naturally avoid the sweet traps laid out by the world. To conclude, always remember, open quote, "A wise person is not one who speaks great principles, but one who sees others through their actions, who knows when to step back, and how to guard themselves from unnecessary pain." Close quote. If you found value in this video, don't forget to hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Ancient Philosophy so you won't miss any of the timeless wisdom from the ancients to help you live more wisely, more compassionately, and more resiliently in this ever-changing world. And feel free to leave a comment below. Have you ever encountered someone who speaks sweetly but harbors ill intent? What lesson did they leave you with? Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video of Ancient Philosophy.